What made you want to explore comedy along with like I guess your other career choices like yoga and being an actor?
So I moved to LA to be an actor. I've been acting since I was 16. And what's got me into comedy, and I never really thought I would be a stand-up comedian. I've always loved comedy and stand-up comedy, but what got me into comedy is just not working as an actor. Trying to find ways to feel like an artist. And a friend of mine suggested I get on stage, and then I got on stage and I was like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. That was kind of fun. And I just kept doing it. That's the beautiful thing about living out in LA. There's so much opportunities to get on stage as a comedian. Not so much, well, now, yeah, you could shoot content, and that's really what I'm trying to move towards when it comes to acting, like shooting my own company or shooting my own content. I actually just launched a production company myself. But as far as a stand-up comic, there's so many mics, there's so many shows. It's just everywhere. You could do 5 mics a night if you wanted to as a comic, for 7 days a week. There's really no place like this in the country. I really feel like if you're a stand-up comic and you want to get on stage and work on your craft as a stand-up, there's no better place. So
Yeah.
that's what really got me to do comedy. They all kind of fell, all the things I'm doing kind of just fell at weird different times, very oddly. I found yoga. I played football in college, and I found yoga about 9 years ago. Hurt my back, was struggling with a little bit of depression, just kind of needed a dark room to go cry in, found yoga, and just fell in love with it. Like I feel like most people that find kind of peace in a yoga room is like, okay, this is church. This is my church now, and that's kind of what happened to me. Yeah, I just kind of fell in love with it. And I'm a big black guy, I'm like, I'm not the odd, not too much anymore, because now yoga is starting to really transcend. But when I started teaching yoga, it was like I stood out in the room. About 5 years ago, one of my favorite instructors suggested I take a teacher training. And I was just like, nah. But also what teachers say, it's not necessarily to teach. Like take a teacher training to deepen your practice, not necessarily to teach. Right. So like that kind of made sense to me. I was like, oh, okay, to deepen my practice, to build on my practice. Okay, I'll do that. So I took a teacher training, and I'm a performer, and just like things kind of clicked a little bit when it comes to like leading and guiding and teaching. I also am a personal trainer, and I've done group fitness. So things kind of just like clicked with me. And this is like something like this, just kind of hard for me to understand within myself. But the very odd places in my life, I feel more comfortable. And it's very strange. I don't get it either. But I feel the most comfortable when I'm leading yoga for whatever reason. Maybe it's because it's like I'm almost not supposed to be here. I don't know. But I feel very comfortable, and yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do now. I teach 5 days a week, sometimes 2 classes a day. I teach 3 different styles of yoga: yin, power, and sculpt, which is probably my most popular class. It's yoga with weights. So that's my journey when it comes to yoga. When I first started yoga, I started doing this character. My name is Leon, but I started doing this character, Yoga Leroy. And
okay. I was wondering where that came from.
Yeah. This was like when I first started doing it, and I just as a comic, I was like, this is odd for me, so let me make fun of it. And I started doing this Yoga Leroy character, which the idea of the character was he's a degenerate, he's an ex-con, and he found yoga, and he has this ghetto, spiritual philosophy that he like tells his students and stuff, and it's ridiculous. So that was the character. But as I evolved as like kind of a yoga person, I kind of threw away the character and kind of made the character myself. So now Yoga Leroy is more like an alter ego, a nickname. People call me Leroy. People call me Leon. I don't, when people ask me, what do I call you? I say, whatever you want to call me, Leroy or Leon. Leroy is kind of like a nickname now.
Mhm.
It is my official stage name. So when I'm doing comedy, I have people bring me up as Leroy. But
Okay.
I'm still Leon Walker, the actor. And yeah, I'm still Leon Walker, the actor. But yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
love yoga. It's at the top of my favorite things to do in life. I feel most
Yeah.
comfortable when I'm guiding yoga.
Yeah, I just recently, within the past year, started to get into it. Like, just not written really going to classes because I haven't had the time and I don't have like transportation here on campus. But I've been getting into it and just like doing it at home, and it really is just like kind of life changing. It's very soothing to like the person, and when I'm away from it, if I have like a period where I don't do it, I feel like heavier and like more negative a lot of the time. So yeah, I definitely get that. But I did want to ask, so is any like the background that you described for Yoga Leroy, is that any true to you, or is it just the character? Like, because I remember seeing something online talking about how like he was in anger management classes and stuff like that. Is that true to you, or is that just to the character? Because I did put that in my article. So
It is true to me.
okay.
I do have a history. I do have a past, and it was violent. I am I was a football player in college. That's so funny. I'm wondering how you found all this stuff about me online.
I
That
just Googled you.
yeah,
I'll
that's
have to figure it out where I exactly found it, because I did only find it in like one or two places, but it was like, oh, I think it was another interview that you did with someone, like an online article interview. And it was like a Q&A style where they talked about it. And you talked about like how yoga helped you find, and yoga and comedy helped you find peace after that whole situation.
yeah. Yes. We all have these programs that we kind of work off of. One of my programs was very aggressive and violent. I was a football player. And we've starting to see this with professional football players. And one thing that's very hard for athletes is after that lifestyle is over, the transition into just normal life. I spent 8 years of my life in a locker room, in a very aggressive alpha type of setting, a
Mm-hmm.
very, kind of, it's a world that most people don't really understand because you don't experience that world where you're constantly punching people in the face every day, right?
Yeah.
So when that was over, um I had those programs that I carried on with me. But not only that, I developed some other bad habits. I was an alcoholic. I was drinking. I drank a lot. In college, I drank very heavily. So I had a lot of issues that I brought into a life outside of college and football, and and there were strongholds that were hard for me to let go. Um, and yeah, it got me in trouble. I when I first came to Los Angeles, my one of my jobs was a door guy. I ran doors in Hollywood, so that means I was out 4 nights a week, Thursday through Saturday, uh, in an environment where people are partying, people are drinking, and I was drinking as well. So like I was doing that for years, working the
Mm-hmm.
door, partying, drinking, in that environment, and it got me in trouble. You add, you know, aggression, alcohol, a chip on a shoulder. It's a bad combination. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so yes, I've had some experiences with the law and found myself in jail for a period of time. Um, and when I got out, it was kind of like that was a rock bottom for me. It was kind of a wake up call. Um, it was yeah. It just I started to be honest with who I want to be and who I was. And then I start to look for ways to kind of get out of my way when it comes to those things. That's not how I wanted to live my life. I was able to stop drinking. So I've been sober when it comes to alcohol. California sober. That's what they call it when you don't do some other things. Um, I stopped drinking 6 years ago and haven't had a drink since, haven't had a desire to drink since, which is very interesting in itself because I don't go to AA or anything like that. And when I was drinking, I never saw myself without, being able to not drink. It's like I couldn't, it was so part of me, alcohol, like I couldn't see myself like enjoying a football game without having a beer or
Hmm.
going out and being around people and people are drinking and me not being able to drink. I couldn't see that. That didn't even make sense to me.
Yeah.
So the fact that I don't drink now is kind of phenomenal in my opinion in itself. But
Yeah, definitely.
I've done the work and like that's what it I feel like we're always we're growing, you never stop growing as a human being. Um, I think I think I think a lot of times when people run into problems, they run into problems because they think, oh, this is who I am. This is
Hmm.
this is me. This is how I'm going to be forever. But you're literally evolving and growing every single day, and that never stops. And once I started to really like dive into those ideas and really try to change the things that aren't working for me and identify my blind spots and identify the things that are causing me pain, causing the people around me pain and causing confusion in my life and adjust to those things. I started going to therapy. I still go to therapy every other week. I got into anger management, started, being I started being um I'm drawing a blank. Honest. I drew a blank on honest. I I started being honest with like the things that are going on with me, which is one of the biggest things that was hard for me to admit is I love emotion. I
Yeah.
I love anger. I love like and anger is a very like it's a hard emotion because it kind of it meshes together with passion and I feel like I'm a very passionate person and anger
Hmm.
could really like feel like passion in a lot of ways and I love those emotions. I've always loved my emotions since I was a kid. I was a big crybaby. I love to cry. um so it was like one of those things of being honest with myself about like, oh, I love getting fucking mad. I love being on the freeway and someone cutting me off and me yelling at them and like all those things. Like, wow, I like this. I'm not doing it because I hate it. I do it because I like it. So it's like
Yeah.
being honest with the fact that like this anger thing that I have, it's something that I was enjoying. And that's why I was running into so many issues.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that you are like a big crybaby because one of my questions actually was when was the last time that you cried?
Last time I cried. Like cried hard
Hmm.
or like just cried?
Um, Give me both. Like if there's a time where it was like a little like movie cry and then there's like that's like a sob.
Well, I am a actor, so I often try to tap into those emotions like all the time. Like if I'm watching a movie and it affects me, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna get the watery eyes. I'm gonna, like I said, I love emotion. And when there's an opportunity to like emote and it's not gonna hurt anybody, I'm gonna do it. So
Yeah.
I'll tear up. Avatar, that last Avatar, the
I
last
haven't
Avatar,
seen it yet. Is it
last
good?
Avatar was good, and I was so surprised. I was like, I did not expect it to be that good because I wasn't crazy about the first one. I was like, all right, blue things, they're big, but this last one was good.
Yeah.
So I might have teared up at Avatar, but like I said, I'm always, like I love movies. I love watching TV. That's one of the reasons why I'm in the industry. When I was a
Yeah.
kid, I was a couch potato. My parents were from Tacoma, Washington. My parents didn't let us out the house because they were paranoid. Because we are like the only Black people in the neighborhood, so they were really paranoid. So weren't allowed to have friends. We weren't allowed out the house. So all I did was watch movies. That's what made me want to be a actor and an entertainer. So I love movies. I
Yeah.
love watching stuff, and I love getting lost in a story, and I love crying. The last time I had a ugly cry was my dog died, Max,
Aw, I'm so sorry about that. That is sad.
years ago. I have a little joke memorial about him on my YouTube page. But yeah, Max was a special dog, because he helped me out with a lot of things. He was kind of like an emotional support dog in a way.
Yeah.
I have suffered from anxiety, as we all have anxiety issues. As a
Mhm.
performer, it's just weird because you wouldn't think someone that wanted to perform had this like really big issue with anxiety, you know,
Mhm.
in a crippling way. And that's also a reason why I drank for so long, because it would open me up and like kind of hide that anxiety. I have
Yeah.
I have social anxiety in a big way. I'm not a very It's hard for me to go out. I have to coach myself. I have to be like, oh,
Yeah.
going out, we're gonna meet people, we're gonna stay the whole time.
Yeah.
Up to 5 people. You're gonna, we're gonna have a
Yeah.
couple of conversations. This is what I have to do, because I will just stay in my house and watch TV. Like that's who I am. I'm a very introverted person. Like, and that's also one of the reasons why yoga is such a safe place for me. It's that group
Mhm.
fitness. It's a group fitness that I get to be with me.
Mhm.
We're on our
Yeah.
mat. I get to be with myself. You're here. We get to feel each other's energy, but I'm working on my practice right now. And I just get
Yeah.
to be amongst you. I get to feel your energy. I get to take a little energy from you, take a little energy from you. And this is how we're connecting. We're not all chatty and we're not doing all that. We're in
Yeah.
our,
There's not pressure.
yeah. So that's why yoga is like really perfect for me in that way.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally get that. I'm the same way. I listen, I also like struggle with the same thing. So like, yeah, it's weird where you can find peace in that situation. I was gonna ask you, since you talked about being like a homebody kind of and like an introvert. So what do you like to watch late at night? Like what is your go-to, I guess people like to say comfort show or like comfort movie? What would be your go-to thing to put on? Or if it's like depends on the time, like what are you watching now?
So the family go-to, which is
Hmm.
me, my son, and my wife, is Shark Tank. That's the family go-to.
That
On
was
Shark
good.
Tank. So on that Shark Tank, you cannot go wrong with Shark Tank.
What
Love
about
Mark
Family
Cuban.
Feud?
Yeah, maybe we should. I'm a big Steve Harvey fan, so maybe we should test out Family Feud. We were watching his. Thank you for that. That's what we're gonna
My
do.
family does that, so that's why I said it.
Okay, thank you for that, because we were trying Steve Harvey's Judge Show for a while, And I was just like,
Mhm.
nah, I'm not into this. I don't like the Judge Show. But I'm gonna try Family Feud. I am a Steve Harvey fan, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yes, Shark Tank, big Mark Cuban fan. We love Shark Tank as a family. And it's hard for us to find things to watch as a family because my wife is like a very Kardashian type of person. And
So
I
she likes
can't,
to watch the Kardashians, or she is just like them?
no, she likes to watch them.
Well, me too. So honestly, I get it.
And I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. And she likes to watch other things like that, like Wife Swap and like all these type of shows that I'm just like, no,
Reality,
yes,
reality
like
TV. Yeah.
no, not watching it. But Shark Tank, we like that. We also like we used to watch a good you know, home improvement show. Those are always fun,
Hmm.
like, you know, but right now it's just Shark Tank. Me, um, when I'm by myself, I'm watching, like right now, I'm watching The Last of Us.
Oh,
That's
I heard that was good. What do you think?
uh it is good. Acting's good, story's great. Um, the zombies or whatever are so hard for me to watch. They're so disturbing and it's hard for me to and I like horror gross stuff, but the way that they did the zombies,
It's
it's
just,
it's just so disturbing
yeah.
because it's like there's this, it's like an organism that turns people into like these like trees or what. It's gross. It's very gross. I it's just been 2 episodes on and I've had to fast forward parts and I hate that I have to say that. I hate that I have to admit that. But
That's okay. I would do too.
yeah, it's good. It's good. It's another show that's getting a lot of hype. It's just so interesting how things will just get hyped up, just blown out of proportion. It's good. It's not like phenomenal. Like I don't
It's
know.
not like the best thing ever.
I don't think it's just like the best thing ever I've ever seen in my life. And that's how people are talking. What else?
Yeah.
You know, what else am I watching? Oh, oh, White Lotus.
Oh,
We
I heard that one was good too. I've been meaning to watch it.
we zoomed past the first season, and I love the first season of White Lotus. And then we started the second season, and everybody was saying like the second season is better than the first season. I like the first season better. I'm still
Mm,
enjoying the second season, but the first season I thought was really good. Yeah, so
cool.
those are 2 shows.
Yeah, I'm a big like rewatch shows I've already seen. So I like to watch New Girl because I think it's hilarious.
So
And what's the other one I usually um rewatch? I can't watch The Office on anything, so I don't have any subscriptions because that's one that makes me laugh too. My boyfriend and I are watching All American on Netflix.
oh, okay.
So that one's pretty good. That's one actually I was gonna say when you're talking about crying, that show made me cry when he was here this past weekend. We were watching and we were both like crying. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, let's see. More I was gonna ask you a couple more questions about like your comedy career because we did talk like a little bit, but not too much. So I was gonna ask, what is the joke that you are most proud of? If you can think of one, or like what's your favorite joke right now?
Oh man, I'm very I don't know, my comedy is very confrontational,
Okay.
which is very odd because I teach yoga and you would think that it would not be. So
Hmm.
I do talk about I talk about my world, and sometimes it's hard for people to understand like my world, especially the spaces that I move into. Like I'll do shows. Like the other day I did a show um in Santa Monica, which is a very liberal white area. And I'm on stage and I'm saying the N word and I'm speaking in my voice and people could not deal with it. And it was funny because my son was like, Daddy, I want to come see you do comedy. And that was one of the shows that I brought him to. And he was like, every time you said the N-word, people would like tighten up and they would stop laughing. And I was like, I don't care, but that's fine. That's fine. But
Yeah.
like, like I have a lot of jokes that are very confrontational, and
Okay.
people, they get, I've always been that way. I've always kind of like tried to tread on thin waters. I do have a joke that starts off that says, clap if you're white and you want to say the N-word real bad. So
That's pretty funny.
That's how the joke starts off. I'm not necessarily proud of, there's no jokes that I'm like really proud of. Like I like my jokes. Here's the thing about comedy. Comedy is not like music or any other art where it's like, okay, this joke is gonna last till the end of time. Comedy is a very like present type of art. Like you could watch huge comics and most of them are like, oh, that was kind of funny, from like 10 years ago. You're like, oh, that was kind of funny, but during that time it was hilarious. Like, it's like you think about like gestures, like back in the day, gestures were like, they're just the entertainment. Like they spoke on like things that were happening in the present moment, and that is comedy. I talk about it all the time. It's like, this is the art that we chose that doesn't have a shelf life. It doesn't have a shelf life. It's not even designed to have a shelf life.
Yeah.
I have a joke that I guess one of my popular jokes is white guys say the weirdest things to me when they find out I teach yoga. This white guy said, Leroy, you teach yoga. I bet you could suck your own dick. That's what he said. I bet I could suck my own dick. Let me start off by telling you that's a white thought. Okay. That's a thought. Never in all of history has a black dude thought, I bet I could. Never. Why would we, when all these white girls out here giving us our reparations? So that's one of my
That one's funny.
jokes. People hit me up about that joke all the time, but I don't even say that joke anymore. I've had
that.
Nah. No, it's like you'll get tired of your material, and that's, honestly, like these last few months, it's kind of where I've gotten to a point where it's like I'm a little tired of my own material. I'm not trying to like reinvent myself, but I'm trying to like kind of just explore different material on stage a bit.
Yeah.
I actually just recently deleted my Instagram, and
Did you really?
I deleted my Yoga Leroy page. I still have my Lion's Breath comedy page, but when you said you found me, how you found me, I'm like, yeah, I just deleted my Instagram. I deleted my
Well, good thing I did it right before.
Yeah, I deleted my Instagram and my Facebook, and I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. I've thought about doing that too. So yeah. One of my questions is, are there things you refuse to joke about? I know you said you're very confrontational, so there might be like very little that you refuse, but I was wondering if there's anything that you don't want to joke about.
There's nothing I refuse to joke about. It's more of people wishing that I wouldn't joke about certain things. I think that's who I am as a comic, because I will talk shit. I'm very confrontational. I love to talk shit. I love it. I'm from a generation where we talked poorly about each other, and it was okay. I was raised in a locker room around men that put each other down constantly. That's what we did. So like and honestly, it's what I'm good at. I riff on stage a lot. I talk a lot of shit. I try to make fun. Like my goal now, because I am such a big opposing person, is when I have when I have a feeling like it's like, oh, this will be funny. My goal is to try to make my shit talk come off as more friendly. Like so, like that,
Mhm.
like that's what I try to think about when I do want to engage in that, because I can come off as just mean, but my
Yeah.
intention isn't to be mean. My intention is always to be funny. I just have a very odd sense of humor. I was just a very
Yeah.
weird person, and that's how I like it. I've always been a strange dude. I've always just been weird. I've always done things that people are like, ah, that's not you, and I'm like, well, it is me because I like it.
Yeah.
um but I so when you say what I stay away from, the things I stay away from, I probably shouldn't stay away from. And that's what I'm trying to talk more about. The things that are a little bit more traumatic in my life, um, are the things that I don't talk about on stage, or I don't talk a lot about, like my
Mhm.
experience in jail, you know,
Yeah.
uh, being away from my family, being away from my son, like those, like it's hard for me to talk about. It's still something that kind of hangs over my life. I just recently got a job, um, and had to do a hard background check, and my back, like it showed up, and then I lost the job. So
Mhm.
these are still things that are very like traumatic and emotional for me, and it's hard for me to talk about. But those are probably the things I should talk about more, and I have been trying to dive a little bit more into those things on stage as well.
Yeah. Do you have any pre-show rituals that you do before you perform, or I guess even like before you do a yoga class?
Nah,
No,
rituals. No, no.
that's okay.
It,
I just was curious because I feel like some people will do like super weird things, but yeah, I mean, if you don't have any.
yeah, no. I mean, my ritual is just really to remind myself that I'm fucking amazing. Really, like that's really what it is. When it comes to teaching yoga, I don't know. It just like it just really feels like I'm supposed to be teaching. Like when I step into a yoga room, it just feels like I'm supposed to be teaching.
Mhm.
And I just wish I had that energy with everything. If I
Yeah.
had, if I had that energy with everything, I wouldn't have the issues that I have. I wouldn't show up to set and feel like I'm less than the rest of these actors. I feel this anxiety. And it's that imposter syndrome that kind of seeps in the things that we do, that creates this anxiety, and we can't move in our best version of ourselves because we have this little imposter syndrome that seeps in. with
Yeah.
with yoga, for whatever reason, I don't even truly understand it, I just feel like I should be teaching yoga. So when I step in front of a room, what your thoughts of are me, they don't matter, because I'm supposed
Yeah.
to be teaching. I wish I had that energy with everything I do. And I'm trying to have that energy with everything I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to stand up, sometimes I think I'm just fucking awesome. And sometimes I think I'm garbage, you know? And,
Yeah.
it's just like it comes and it goes. And um, I remind myself when I'm not feeling well, um, as a stand-up comedy, when I do shows, I remind myself that I look the part. That's a great thing to remind yourself. You look the part. You look like you're
Yeah.
supposed to be here. You look confident. So no matter how you're feeling, people see you as a confident comedian. So just
Mhm.
be what people see you as.
Yeah.
So I do that. Same thing with acting, you know. I just when I'm not feeling well, I'm just like, just be who people see you as. Just be that, you know. And then I just do that, and you know, I try not to make it such a big deal. If I have a bad set,
Hmm.
it's not a big deal, you know. I just
Yeah.
try not to make it such a big deal.
Yeah. So we were talking about TV shows earlier. I meant to ask this question, but do you have like a TV show that you would like to be on, or that you wish you could be or could have been on, like could have aired a while ago or whatever?
Um, Not really. Not
You
really.
don't think you could play any part better than someone else?
I um I think I truly feel I should be a working actor. I truly feel that I should be. I think eventually that will come. I last year was a pretty good year for acting for me. I was in a movie with Aaron Eckhart. That was great. I was in an episode of SWAT with Shamar Moore. Shamar Moore, somebody that people say I look a lot alike. I've been compared to him, you know,
I
since I
had that
started.
question here too. I was gonna ask if anyone confused you with anyone else. That's
Shamar
funny.
Moore, Boris Kodrow. Those are the actors that people constantly call me. Some people would say I look like Kobe Bryant, which is good.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Um,
But I,
yeah.
I've, Denzel Washington is one of the reasons why I wanted to be an actor. I would love to work with him one day. As far as TV shows, man, I just want to be on a TV show. It really doesn't matter. Like it doesn't even the genre, comedy, drama, soap opera. I just want to be a series regular on a TV show. And it
Yeah.
doesn't, I just want to work as an actor. I love acting like a lot. I love the act of acting. Everything else around it is trash. The audition process, the trying to, get in the room to try, like everything else around the actual act of acting is garbage. And trying to find ways to like the things around acting as much as the actual act of acting is the tough part,
Hmm.
because as an actor, you train and you put your whole heart and soul into this craft, and then you barely get to do it.
Yeah.
Barely get to do it, and that's the beautiful thing about comedy, uh opposed to acting, is I get to do it. I get to be a stand-up comic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so what's the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I have ever received, it's just something I don't it's a bunch of different things that I've been receiving these last few years. Um and it started when I did these emotional intelligent workshops. About 3 or 4 years ago, I did a series of them, and I learned the term shifting.
Hmm.
Shifting passive emotion, um, adjusting, and that's kept coming up, like
Okay.
learning how to shift, learning how to adjust, you know,
Hmm.
as far as like being emotionally intelligent in that way, and not letting you know your failures or your successes be like these catastrophic events.
Hmm.
I was recently in Austin, and I did some stand-up in Austin. Austin's become a little hub for stand-up comedy. But the best part about that trip is I got to see one of my childhood friends. His name is Aaron Bergman, great guy. And we kind of had we kind of lost touch with each other. And I grew up with this guy. Like, whenever I ran away, I would run away to his house.
Yeah.
Like we grew up together, and he started a company all by himself from scratch, like no silver spoon, and he started this huge company in Austin. It's called Golfinity. It's this big state-of-the-art golf facility. And he was talking about, like when I met with him, when I hung out with him, he was talking about emotional intelligence. And he was talking about the things that how he needs to be as a CEO, as a leader, as somebody that is responsible for not only all these things, but all these people, and how to be he was talking about emotional intelligence and staying in this neutral place,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to adjust and being able to shift, depending on, when something happens, like we don't really prepare for something to really emotionally happen until that happens,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you're like,
Yeah.
it's like a punch in the gut. It's like, I'm not gonna be able to get over this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is gonna be a year till I could get over this. So learning how to shift past those things and not dwelling on the emotion of the thing, grieving. That's another thing. We're all constantly grieving, whether it's like big or small. Like it's almost like as a human being, we're almost constantly in a stage of grief.
Mm-hmm.
From one situation to the next, one person to the next, there's 12 stages of grief, and we're constantly processing through something,
Mm-hmm.
losing a job, or a girlfriend this, or someone dies in your favorite TV show. We're constantly processing these things. So learning how to process, and get to that acceptance, and then move on and shift, so you can continue to be the best version of yourself when you leave the house, really.
Yeah.
And one thing that I say is, like, when in doubt, just stay inside. Like that's some advice for me. That's some advice for me, because I'm an emotional person. Like, when in doubt, just stay in the house.
Yeah. Stay away from everybody.
Stay in the house, hide under the covers, watch your favorite show. One thing my therapist gave me, she said, give yourself a timeline,
Mm-hmm.
like something happens, say, okay, today, tomorrow, I'm gonna be in my emotions. I'm gonna maybe beat up on myself. I'm gonna tell myself how terrible of a person I am, how much I suck. I'm gonna go through all those things. And then after tomorrow, I'm not gonna do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's gonna be over. That's my timeline. I'm gonna
Yeah.
commit. So, like, that's one thing that she's given me that's helpful. And I don't beat myself up like that anymore, but I used to, and it used to last for a long time.
Yeah.
It used to last for like months. I would beat I if I like did not get a audition that was up for, like, it would last for like months. So, like, I've come a long way in that regard.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to say is just like, um, well, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. That's like my favorite one. And I feel like that also, um, I watch like yoga with Adriene videos on YouTube because I love her.
Yes.
And so like, I feel like that's one thing that she says a lot is like, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Like, you are in the now, you're in the present. So that definitely, I feel like, relates, just like not worrying about the past emotions, just letting yourself be here and now.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to end on a positive note since we talked about a lot of different things, but Um, my last question for you is, where have you been finding joy lately?
Always find joy with my son. He's the best thing that has ever happened to me. Um, he's 13. He's really developing into a great basketball player and a student. He has all A's. It makes me feel good to know that when in doubt, I am good at being a dad. You know,
Yeah.
he's the proof. You know, sometimes I think like, man, I'm not good at anything. But that's one thing that I cannot say that I'm not good at. I'm good at being a dad. He is proof, and he's the best part about my life. Find joy in him. Um, and I yeah, I you know, art is just funny. It's just strange, you know. You could love
Yeah.
it. You could love it one day, and then one day you're like, why did I choose to do this? You
Yeah.
know, why did I choose to be this person? But I love being creative. Um, I I can't do anything else. There's nothing else I want to do other than the things that I'm doing. It's what I'm gonna do until I die. So now it's just trying to adjust and find ways to be creative without going crazy. It's one of the reasons I
Mhm.
just deleted my social media, because
Yeah.
I was too concerned with Mark Zuckerberg's algorithm, which like what are we even doing here? Like, you know, like what
Yeah.
like this algorithm or whatever, who cares? Like this is does not make me feel more connected. Makes me feel more
Yeah.
disconnected. And if this is social media, I'm supposed to feel connected. That's not what I feel. So I'm getting off of it. So I got off of it. I feel a lot better. And
Mhm.
yeah, you know, honoring those spaces brings me joy. Honoring the things that I feel, no matter what society is telling me. Oh, you're supposed to have a social media. Oh, what are you doing? You're taking yourself out of the game. You don't have a social media. I just decided to say, this is not serving me right now. It's making me feel like shit. I'm thinking about it all the time. I wake up, I look at it, I'm looking at likes, it's making me feel terrible. I'm done.
Mhm.
Get off of it. That made me feel so good
Yeah.
to delete my Instagram and my Facebook. That, like, literally the day I did it, the day I deleted my social media, I came home and my son looked me in the eyes. He said, "You seem happy today." I was like, "There's the proof. Like, I am happier, you know."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely powerful to do that. And it's, I would say, like, brave, honestly, to take yourself away from that. But yeah, it was
Well,
really great talking to you.
thank you. It was great talking to you. I'm a firm believer that we could still connect.
Yeah.
We could still connect. I could still, you know, connect the old school way.
Hmm.
You know, in person
Yeah.
maybe. You know, maybe it's gonna get me to get outside the house a little bit more. You know,
True. Yeah.
yeah, there's still ways to connect. It doesn't all have to be what society tells us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you for talking to me and interviewing with me. I really enjoyed it. And getting to know you and just getting to talk to you one on one was really fun.